These people are so stupid. Is their solution to beat Republicans? To run against Republicans? No. Their solution is to beat Democrats. Like they're part of the problem. No, you are part of the problem because you're an idiot.
Somebody had to say it, so it might as well be one of their own. James Carville rage quits his own party for allowing itself to get hijacked by the socialist wing, admitting that the Democratic Party is at war with itself and that socialists aren't just fighting Republicans anymore, they're coming after their own.
But there's at least one Democrat pumping the brakes on the party's socialist shift. James Carville is raging against the radicals in his party. Watch.
These people are so stupid. Is their solution to beat Republicans? To run against Republicans? No. Their solution is to beat Democrats. Like they're part of the problem. No, you are part of the problem because you're an idiot.
Do you agree with him? With James Carville's advice?
So I think James has a strong theory of the case, and he expresses it equally strong. The race in Michigan, since that's what we're talking about, there is no doubt this contest of ideas that I tried to talk about at the presidential level, we're seeing it play out, I think, as plainly and as enthusiastically as any other Senate Democratic primary. I hope Haley Stevens wins that race. I think that not just because I think she would be a better candidate in the fall, but because I think she'd be a better senator. I like her ideas. I think when you organize your campaign around abolishing law enforcement organizations that you have a disagreement with, but you don't look at the premise of what the organizations do. I don't disagree that ICE needs to be reformed. We may differ on that, but we shouldn't abolish it. I don't believe you should defund the police. Who do you call if there's a crime committed in your neighborhood? I listened to the young man's answer, and it didn't make sense to me. He has every right to have those ideas, and Democrats have every right to vote against them. I give him some credit. He went right out and said, look, this is what I said, and this is what I want to do with the money. I differ with him, and I think there are going to be a majority of Democrats in Michigan who agree with me.
This is exactly what Carville is talking about. These radicals aren't sitting on the sidelines anymore. They're becoming the face of the Democrat Party. Every election cycle, they get bolder. And every election cycle, the establishment caves just a little more. And now they're proudly backing candidates who don't even try to hide their extreme agenda. If you thought abolishing ICE was crazy, just wait until you hear what this Democratic socialist believes.
New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani is standing firmly by the side of a fellow Democratic socialist running for Congress in New York. And this is a person who has said a lot of things that raise a whole lot of eyebrows and has basically taken about as far left positions as you can get. So we'll get into her. Her name is Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier. She's running for Congress in New York's 13th district. She has said a number of things in now deleted posts between 2018 and 2022 on social media, including that she wants to abolish borders, abolish prisons, and police. Abolishing all those things is, quote, possible, necessary, and the only moral way forward. She has also said that all deportation is wrong and, quote, yes, literally abolish the border. She's also made some anti-American comments saying, quote, this country is a effing disgrace. In another post, she also added, quote, I forgot to get napkins, so I just wiped my hand on the American flag behind me in yet another post.
And after hearing all that, listen to what happens next. James Carville doesn't just criticize these radicals anymore. He practically throws his hands up and says he's done with them altogether.
Mr. Valier, the New York Times reported, and I have the quote right here, I'll get to it. She is against passed off all her views. She has attacked interracial relationships in the American flag. Lady, I ain't in the same party as you. I'm sorry. I just not. And I actually do think it's time for Democrats to talk the S word, schism. I really do. Everybody's always said, no, we're coalition, we're big tent. And there's just some shit that I can't be in the same tent with. And we talk about what Madame was 3 for 3 last night in Manhattan. They call it the Commie Corridor. Fine. Jason Crow's service pack, vote bets, 10 for 11. You wouldn't know Jason Crow exists. Okay.
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know Abdel Sandberg exists. You wouldn't know. I want to be very specific. I understand the free press for being here because if they nominated David Duke or something like that, we'd be the same way. I understand all that. to the extent I understand the Times, because they are the New York Times, so they have to cover, they are the hometown newspaper. But the idea that we must neglect everything else that's going on, all of these other primaries, all the recruits Jason has, all huge, phenomenal successes we've had, and declare that the party is now under the control of the Democratic Socialists of New York City is insane. But and understand, these people do not like Democrats. Not only are they not Democrats, they wish Democrats poorly. So I just cannot. Maybe there's a way that you can say to, I guess Mandami is the leader of it, is, you insist that, try to insist that the people that run under your banner run as a Democratic Socialist and don't use the Democratic Party as your guideline, and let's negotiate the terms of a schism here. Maybe we can part under some kind of advantageous terms for both of us. But I'm done. I'm not in that fucking political party. I am totally comfortable in a political party that spends time questioning the policies of the government of Israel. In fact, I'm enthusiastic about that. I don't want to be in a political party that denies the right of the state of Israel to exist. That's just not. I just can't do that. I'm sorry. It's just not doable.
This is a man who spent decades helping build the modern Democrat Party. And now he's openly saying that he doesn't even belong in the same party as these people. And I can imagine why he's so frustrated. He can see clearly the direction his party is heading into. But he also knows they're losing the fight. He keeps telling Democrats to move back to the center, focus on the economy, and stop embracing these fringe ideas. But the sad truth is, their new activist wing isn't interested in listening. They're only interested in one thing, which is taking over. And that's what's being pointed out here.
Jesse, we've covered for as long as the Democrat Party has been, eroding left, we've been covering the center voices of rationality sort of that represent their party. Like, for example, Rahm Emanuel coming out and saying, stop talking about boys in the locker room, talk about economics. But it seems like no one in the party is listening. So even if reasonable heads are out there, they will probably not prevail.
When the most reasonable head is Carville, you guys have a lot of problems. Have you ever noticed that every time he speaks, he's either in front of a liquor cabinet or in a bed? Yes. Liquor cabinet, bed. I've never seen him anywhere else. I think he just goes from one to the other, and that's fine. That's fine. We all did that in college. The Abdul, the Muslim communist, he wants to run for senator in Michigan. This is not Vermont. This is a state Trump has won 2 times, although he would probably argue he's won it 3. I don't think this guy can swing it in a state like Michigan. If you're one of these other communists in a deep blue district here, you can get away with defunding and all that. But this guy has to lie, and the other people just have to lie less. But you got Muslim communists, you have Ugandan mayors, you have the Dominican vegan, the Ethiopian barista, but it's spreading. Whites now are following along. They call that suicidal empathy.
It's true. You really have to ask yourself, how did the Democrat Party end up embracing these radical ideas that most Americans don't even support? Some people say it's because the loudest voices aren't your everyday working people anymore. That the loudest voices now are the activists, the academics, and the ideological purists who spend more time talking to each other than listening to the country. And that's exactly where this next conversation goes, as Carville argues that the modern far left is driven more by emotion and activism than anything else.
The Western far left is habitually the most stupid, naive people you can imagine. And they come up with these really goofy constructs, and it's all about feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, well, just feeling, as opposed to like free speech. Like if your feelings are hurt, that's more important than free speech.
Most people don't even know what they're talking about. Overeducated coastal white people got a hold to the word, and if they do everything else, they completely it up and everybody in the country off.
Now you're speaking my language.
And if we just could get the humanities faculty at Amherst to shut up, would be a lot better off.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even funnier. James Carville may finally be speaking out, but according to the Five, it's already too late, especially considering the Democrat establishment has spent years empowering their activist wing, thinking it would help them win elections. But now those same activists are pushing the old faces out the door.
Look,
There's nothing you can do. James Carville, they're not, the people who run these campaigns, they're not calling Carville for his expert advice. That's why he's ranting into his webcam. They don't want Carville. They're setting him in one of those Cajun boats with the big fan on the back end, pushing him out onto the swamp. They don't want him anymore. They let them in. And you see the people talking about, like, Gavin Newsom says, well, they have a lot of energy. This is where the energy in the party is. It's like, it's the energy to replace you. He didn't even realize it. It's like Lord of the Rings, and the orcs are storming through the gates, and the men are like, these guys have a lot of energy. Maybe we can work with them.
My favorite reference.
After watching this, I don't think the biggest question is whether James Carville is right or wrong. The question is, why did it take so long for Democrats to finally admit there was a problem in the first place? For years, the Democrat establishment has been tolerating these activists because they thought they were useful. They thought they brought enthusiasm. They thought they brought volunteers. And most importantly, they thought they brought votes. And as long as they helped win elections, party leaders just looked the other way. But now, it seems like those same activists aren't all that satisfied with influencing the party. No, it seems like they want to run it. It seems like they want to control it. And honestly, that's what the Democrats get for rewarding the loudest, most radical voices in the room. Just think about it. It was only a matter of time before they stopped asking for a seat at the table and started throwing everyone else out. And what really amazes me is how some of these Democrats genuinely seem shocked that this is even happening. But we also have to remember, they spent years telling America that anyone who worried about socialism was paranoid, that open borders were just a conspiracy, and that concerns over public safety were exaggerated. And let's not forget that it was Donald Trump who was the authoritarian, who was the fascist, who was going to be king forever, who was never going to leave the White House, who was a threat to democracy. Yeah, we can't forget all of that. And now just look at them. Their own candidates are openly campaigning on abolishing ICE, defunding the police, on eliminating prisons and dismantling law enforcement. They want to end capitalism, get rid of for-profit companies, get rid of the president, the Senate, the Supreme Court, eliminate our country's borders, and give citizenship to all illegal immigrants. That's what they're promoting, and the scariest part is that they're actually winning elections with these radical ideas. What kind of anarchy are they really asking for here? And why is it that they spew out all these radical, crazy ideas, yet not one of these politicians ever really spends much time explaining how any of their so-called policies would actually work in the real world? Let's just be honest. It's easy to promise things like free groceries, free housing, free healthcare, bigger government, less bills, endless benefits, and rainbows and sunshine. But it's a lot harder to explain who's actually going to be paying for that. Because what's going to happen when businesses leave? Or how are our communities going to become safer by weakening the very institutions that keep law and order? It just doesn't make any sense to me how they actually plan on making any of this work. And I feel like as fast as the DSA is growing, many Americans instantly reject these ideas once they understand what's actually being proposed. Because the truth is, most people aren't looking for a political revolution. Most people just want to be able to buy homes and raise their families in a safe environment and be able to put food on the table. So in my opinion, it already goes to show that the DSA has zero consideration for what the American people actually want. It's like they have one agenda, and that agenda, in my opinion, is to destroy our beautiful country from the inside out. And as much as James Carville thinks that a split is the answer, I don't think that'll solve this problem. The movement he's complaining about didn't just appear overnight. This is a direct result of the leaders of the Democrat Party refusing to challenge it and allowing it to grow because they thought it was politically convenient. But now they're realizing they're being consumed by their own. And if nothing else, this should at least serve as a reminder that ideas, elections, and leadership actually matters. Because the left spent years normalizing these radical ideas just to gain a short-term political advantage. And now they want to act surprised that those ideas stopped knocking on the front door and started taking over their entire house. But then again, that's just my opinion. I would love to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.